Okay, so real quick, I'll give you a rundown of this or120 preamp and crown power amp combo. So the power conditioner on the top, which everything is plugged into. It's a stereo or120 preamp with high and low input jacks. The FAC knob that has 4 clicks, low, high, and overall tone, since it's just a preamp instead of a power amp. So this is like almost like a power amp saturation. And then the gain for that channel. Here's a switch for the effects loop to be after or before the EQ section. So you can get a ton of different combinations if you're running like a reverb pedal up here. There's also this outlet on the front here if you wanted to have a mini board that's plugged into it, or any unit that needs any bit of power, 9 volts at regardless the amount of power draw. You can set it up here and mess around with if it's in front or after the effects loop. And then you have an identical second channel with the same controls here, same effects loop options, an on switch for that. Then the crown power amp, I have the lights off on it right now, and I have it set up in stereo, but you can set it up for bridged mono as well. I think in stereo this one is like 250 at 8 ohm, and in bridged mono it's 400 at 8 ohm, and it runs down to a 2 ohm load. But you can't do 16 ohms, but 8 ohm, 4 ohm, or 2 ohm, which is fine. You don't need to make any switches on the back for it. It's just power scaling like a solid state Class AB power amp would into whatever cab you plug it into. So I'll stop talking. I'll play you through a couple of the settings. So similar to an or120, we have the FAC at full, the bass, and the kind of treble to taste, but the bass cranked and this tone knob cranked. You can really get a ton of preamp overdrive going into the power amp and really push it compared to where everything else was. It's the same design as on a 70s or120 non-master volume. And once again, you could run anything before or after, so you could even run a noise gate here, but this is pretty quiet, and you can run an effects pedal in the effects loop to boost or change any frequencies that you'd want. But this is where you get the full frequency of the amp, just like on the standard orange. So I'm going to turn everything back to noon, and I'm going to turn on an Earthquaker Devices Zoar, something pretty standard, and I'll change some knobs here, and you can really see how this reacts like an all-tube 70s or120. The preamp is really awesome. It doesn't get as gainy as an older orange would because that has to do with power amp saturation. So once again, if you ran this hot into crank power amp, that's how you kind of get that breakup from it. My wife is sleeping right now, so I can't crank it that loud, but I will throw the Zor in front of it and twist some knobs so you can see what it's like. That low end response frequency range, I'm only at the second output click on this power amp that has 20 of them, so it's a massive amount of headroom. What's also nice is that you could run this as a guitar and a bass rig, split stereo to different cabs. So if you and a bass player wanted to both use this, there's more than enough power to power two cabs with a similar preamp and run pedals in an effects loop. So guitar would plug into the top channel, bass would plug into the bottom channel, take channel 1 out to one side, channel 2 out to the other. You both have your master volumes and your gain and your effects loop for it. So that was kind of the thought that I had, or hey, this has been a backup for some of the tube stuff that me and bass player run. As if something went down, we both have a very similar emulation of what we like to play. I can do the Zor pedal one more time, crank the preamp a little more, or roll the preamp down and show it. See if I can get the power amp a little more cooking, but it really responds just like an or120 to me. It's hand wired, it's got some 12AX7 tubes in the preamp. There's no fan, it runs really, really quiet. There is a fan in the crown power amp. I've not been able to notice it at any level or when having a microphone on this in any situation. Those are my favorite power amps for doing this type of situation. I'll do a little more playing for you, and hopefully that's a good explanation of what everything looks like. I also have photos in the listing for what the cable routing in the back looks like. It comes with all the cables for the in and out from the preamp to the power amp, and then comes with speak on to 1/4-inch cables for the power amp to any cabs. So I'm going to play a little bit more for you, and hopefully you like it. Thanks. Let me know if you have any questions.